What's up, everybody? Of course, you've got the two crazy guys from the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls area. I am your host of the bodyslam.net/roundtable podcast, NXT host. You've got my buddy here, the man himself, the head of the table of the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. Also, a really good friend of my friend, Big Money Drew. What's up, Drew? How you doing?
Hey,
It feels weird actually having you doing this, considering we usually do this on Thursdays.
yes, we usually do this on Thursdays, and it's usually these bickering, annoying people that are around us while we're trying to do a show professionally. So it's nice that it's just the two of us, and it's much more chill and relaxed, and we get to talk about what I would say was a pretty decent show. If I was doing grading like I used to on Cage Side Seats, I would give it a B minus. So
Look
I
at
think it was
him
a pretty good show.
dropping names on Cage Side right there.
That's right.
Other than that, one of the things is that this show was really good from top to bottom. Between, some of the vignettes, we had a debut and stuff, and the main event basically was the cherry on top. The whole thing started with Breaker coming out, spitting his booty as he usually does, trying to get into fights. Ziggler come out and basically saying the same thing as Santos Escobar did the last couple of weeks. It's on my time. And that pretty much set up the night where it was just, a bunch of great matches, but people are talking for the most part. What did you think about Breaker? Basically, it's basically going to give you the main event for Stand and Deliver, which is going to be Ziggler and Breaker. What do you think of this whole segment right here?
Yeah, this was kind of like a blast from the past, if you will, of just watching how Dolph Ziggler used to be years ago. The singles guy, the really good talker, the really really great seller, really great wrestler. The main of we're talking about the opener, but the main event, man, was he back to like 2013, 2014 Dolph in that main event? That was just fantastic.
I'll even go further. It was almost like he was back with like AJ Lee, the whole, his first run as the world champion kind of thing, where he did not do anything wrong and everything just worked out just in the right ways.
Yeah, it was very good. The crowd for these NXT shows, they're an interesting bunch because, they react to some stuff and then they don't. Like we're gonna talk about a segment that happens a little bit after this with Toxic Attraction. That, whew, God Almighty. But yeah, I would have liked for them to be a little bit more reactive to this promo because I really enjoyed it. But
It almost felt like at some points of it during this promo, it was a little stiff at best because they were trying to push it, but it looked like Ziggler basically carried the majority of the segment here. I would have liked to see, Braun literally take the, more initiative into it. That's why I tell people just, hold back on judgment on Breaker as a whole, as a talent, until you see how he does with multiple pressures. He's had two huge matches. He's had Ciampa as a match, and then he had just Escobar the other day, last week actually, for Vengeance Day. So I mean, it's interesting to see how they're building him up. I mean, Ziggler is the big fish in all this, but I won't be shocked if they put Tommaso before Stand and Deliver just as an obstacle, or better yet, you might see a triple threat at Stand and Deliver too.
based off of what they did at the end, could be possible. Though it did seem like now that it was already announced, pretty much. Well, I mean, not officially announced, but they're not going to have Breaker announce two of them versus him and Ciampa if they weren't going to actually do it. So, I mean, will it be to do that, or will it be to build to a triple threat? Only time will tell after next week. But I did, Ziggler putting Breaker over while knocking him down a little bit. I like stuff like that, so I thought it was a great opening segment.
Yeah, basically building them up just to destroy them, kind of thing. Kind of like what you do with a few people that we know.
Well, I try.
Well, if you guys haven't checked anything else out, um, donate a body slam, yeah, a slam tastic chat or whatever it's called. Sorry, it's been a long day, 10-hour day work day. Go support the site at bodyslam.net. You know, they do amazing work over there, giving you guys the up-to-date news on wrestling and other things. We'll go straight into the Dusty Cup stuff because of the fact that I feel like we should cover that stuff first and then some of the other points on there, because there's some matches they set up for next week, which is really interesting to me. But Dusty Cup, we had, like, we had two really good matches on that. We had the Diamond Mine versus Casey and Caden, which to me was really good. These matches were really good matches, but they're not like, some of the matches at Vengeance Day where even though it's like a takeover esque, in some of these matches on the Dusty Cup for the men were like barn burners. It was an okay match overall. It introduced a new member to the Diamond Mine, and it also, gave Caden and Casey more shine on them and show them that they could be a threat in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, so full disclosure, I did not think that they were going to win. I thought that Ivy Nile and her partner, what's her partner's name? I'm looking at the graphic now. Tatum what? Paxley?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a surprise. I actually thought that they were going to win. So I had pretty much like circled in who I thought was going to win for the first round. I had Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray winning.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley winning, and that surprised me when Casey and Caden won. They're good wrestlers. I mean, all four of them are good wrestlers, and I was not expecting it because I thought that Ivy was going to build momentum with the Creed brothers winning the men's Dusty Cup. So now I'm interested to see what happens next week with our other the next bracket, the other end.
Well, I think it's interesting because, with that match with Kaylee Ray and Io, you already knew it was going to be, them pulling out of it and winning it. I know it sounds like a mini squash to the way I look at it, but it it was just like it built the other team up, getting them some notoriety and stuff, and then you already knew how the ending was going to be. But now we have a really good second round match on that beginning bracket with KEC and Caden, and you've got EO and Kaylee Ray. Literally, it's going to be high flying, flashy. Yeah. It's going to be, technical in some points, but it's going to be a really good match. I wish that match was next week, not in a couple of weeks when they get to the semis, but
yeah,
it's interesting to see how that plans out. The opening match, Grayson Waller versus LA Knight.
Oh boy, go ahead, recap this for the folks, and then I'll give my thoughts.
This whole thing started because of freaking Wall with a few months back with war games and stuff. But I think what's interesting about this is that they threw the storyline about the restraining order out when they realized there were so many kinks into it, and now they have the match with Waller. I mean, it was a really good match. Waller got some offense into it, and on top of that, you got LA trying to prove how great he is. But the match ends up with a grab on the tights, and Waller wins. But LA comes out afterwards, gets up and looks at the ref and literally hits his finisher on both his bodyguard. I can't remember his name, so I'm sorry if I'm off today. And
I have no
Waller,
idea because I never paid attention to it.
on Waller also. I should be paying attention to it. It's just today's been one of those crazy days. So if I'm a little off, it's kind of that. It's nice to see them finally lock up after having a couple weeks build up. The problem is the ending of this match was not a definite finishing. So I mean, we're probably going to see them in about 2 weeks, and it's going to keep going, which I'm kind of okay with because it gives LA Knight something credible to do during this time to get up to Stand and Deliver. But in the end, this whole feud's going to end up, taking somebody a step back instead of a step forward, I think.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. Because my biggest thing with it is that I don't know where this goes after LA Knight based off of everything that Grayson Waller's been doing, which is not that much. I mean, his biggest achievement is the Johnny Gargano thing. And that was like 2.5, almost 3 months ago now at this point, right? So what's he been doing since then? Doesn't seem like much.
I mean, Waller, the only great thing Waller's done recently, other than having this feud with LA Knight, is that he started on social media feuding with AJ Styles, and AJ came down and obviously does what AJ does best. And I'm happy that AJ, by the way, on a side note from NXT, since he was in NXT for like one match that he did resign. So I hope he goes down to NXT a little bit here and there to teach people some stuff, it's well worth that. But is there an upside to Waller? Yes. A lot of people like him, and a lot of people literally don't like him. He kind of reminds me, and this is going to be like a little bit of a kind of a tipping of the hat kind of thing, like a compliment almost, is that he kind of reminds me of early Miz. Like where he was coming in as a reality star and everybody just didn't like who he was, and like stories of the NXT locker room kicking him out and stuff like that was almost coincided with that.
You mean this guy? Yeah. This was the first thing you saw the words, right?
Yeah.
This is the first thing that I ever bought on WWE Shop back in like 2013 or something. I think it was 2014. You can see I was a fan of that character. So sorry, go on. I just wanted to show that off.
Yeah, it's for me. I could see some of that, and the whole social media aspect of it with Waller. It makes perfect sense because a lot of times people consider social media in their own eyes as reality TV when some of this stuff gets taken out of context. But the match ends with Waller winning and Knight saying they're not done. We're going to end up seeing this for a couple of times, and which for me is okay to see because, it shows that LA Knight has something that he's working towards. Other than that, I mean, we'll see where this goes. It's just so interesting to see what WWE/NXT decides to put in front of us and be like, okay, this is how it's going to end. But it should have ended tonight in general.
It should have, but they, really like dragging things out. And as we saw a couple of times tonight, also to drag it out, they do either an interference to lead into a match, or then, hey, you who did something wrong, you and your partner now are going to go with me and this guy. That's like, it's that stuff that happens all the time. And it works sometimes. I'm not going to say that it doesn't work all the time, but it just gets so tiresome sometimes. And then the thing too about Grayson is that they already have like the social media guy on the main roster right now. They brought in Logan Paul. Funny you just mentioned The Miz. They just brought in Logan Paul, and he's like a pseudo Logan Paul type, but as much as I dislike Logan Paul is better than Grayson Waller. So, at least in that aspect of like the social media, all that nonsense that Grayson Waller's character is into. But Other than that, I mean, I don't know. It's just the referee looked kind of dumb in this too because his bodyguard was just so clearly hanging on to him there right in front of the referee. So that was kind of a weird booking for that match, for the end of that match. And yeah, I mean, it was something. It was a finish to make sure that there was a beatdown, to make sure that this is continuing. And I'm not really a fan.
I mean, that's how it usually is, right? There's always something that leads into something for a beatdown and all that stuff. It's a good example. Like you said, look at how the segment with Pete Dunne and Carmelo Hayes, where they're trying to set up the North American title, and Grimes comes in and destroys the place, and then you get into that match, and it's always a way of a pattern that they go by a lot of times.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
a greater pattern.
well, I mean, it isn't, but it gets you to the next point. It's always not the destination. It's not the journey. It's the destination, and they're trying to get it along in some way. And like we had an impromptu match, and Hayes is just a really good person on the standby, but I mean, I can't remember. It's bad today. It really is. Like my memory's getting shot.
Who's with Carmelo Hayes?
Yeah,
Trick Williams.
Trick Williams. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm
No,
horrible
fine.
today. It's just been a long day. 10 hours of work today.
I don't put any blame on you for that, so don't worry.
Well, I mean, with Trick and Grimes, that match was pretty decent. That
Yeah, I enjoyed
roundhouse kick. That roundhouse kick was really interesting when it connected to. But obviously, Grimes was carrying most of the load on this match. And there's our producer. What's up, bud?
Hi. Hello, Mr. Franchise Player. What are you up to?
What's up, guys? Just checking in on the podcast. Make sure you guys are having a blast. Talking about NXT 2.0.
Yeah, considering the host is their brain's a little bit fried from working so much like you do. So it's great.
Man, you guys are killing the game, man. I'm proud of you guys. Show looks good. You guys look good. So I just want to drop in and be like, you guys are stars, and thank you very much for allowing me to partake in the beauty of this podcast.
Well, I mean, you are the lead producer. So nice. Aw, look at BB's flirting with Drew.
You guys have a good night.
You chased him away. What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry. We were just all freaking joking and stuff like that. Anyways,
I know.
But I mean,
we'll get into more. I'll be talking about some men on this show this evening.
Oh,
so we'll get there.
But I mean, for everything else, the match was pretty decent. Like I said, Grimes was carrying a lot of the load with Trick, and it ended up in Grimes' fashion with the cave-in. But the one spot that was interesting was that crossbody where Trick didn't realize Grimes was behind him. So I don't know if that was a botch or not, but that could be considered as much.
Yeah, I did notice in this match there were a couple of spots that looked not timed very well. I remember there was an elbow from Trick to Grimes that kind of looked like he missed a little bit, or somebody went a little too soon. But I mean, the match itself was okay, not awful by any means.
I mean, two of those punches that Trick threw, where he went down and threw it and just stood there, I was like, "What is this, Street Fighter?" Like the guy, it's like Ryu. You punch him and he just stands there waiting for you to just go back. And the camera angle on one of them literally saw him throw it, and he just stood there, crouched down, and it's like there's no reaction. Grimes just took the hit, and he just looked right back at him. It's like,
yeah.
So it's going to end up leading. We're probably going to have a rematch probably for stand and deliver triple threat. The way these are shaping up, they're going to be 2 triple threat matches. If I think stand and deliver is 2 nights, so I think if on night 2 it might be Hayes, Dunn, and Grimes.
Stand and deliver is 2 nights.
I think it might be.
I don't know. I don't remember that. I remember just hearing that it's like early afternoon on Saturday, and then WrestleMania is the 2-night thing. Saturday night, Sunday night.
Well, they had stand and deliver last year. It was 2 nights too. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Hence why it was stand and then they delivered. It was like a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday and a Wednesday or something like that.
Oh. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not really that. I don't really know the history of NXT, the recent NXT at least. I'm more of a 2014, 2017, 18 NXT guy.
Yeah, that was last year's NXT. But if they are going to set this up, I think you put Hayes, take the title off Hayes, make him chase after and put it on Grimes for a little bit, and then have Dunn figure out what his next move. I think he's end up going to go to the main roster in some fashion, and I don't know, maybe it would be great to see him and Sheamus go at it. That would be a freaking insane thing. Yeah. You got a vignette with the Creed brothers coming out. Oh God, these vignettes can be so good or so bad sometimes during the course of it. And they were basically Malcolm Bivens. Oh my God.
He makes everything.
Bivens makes everything better. It's like the cherry on the cake, basically, when it comes to when he's in it. He calling out freaking Imperium, telling them how much they don't match up to the Creed brothers and stuff, and Imperium comes out. I can't call him Gunther. I'm sorry, but I got to. But it comes out and starts basically saying how the mat is sacred. Basically, talk and trash, and you had Sono come out and literally all of them brawling out. So now you have you have a match next week with Walter and Sono. I think that's his name. I'm, like I said, so tired. That you got that match for next week, and that's
Solo Sikoa.
Sikoa. Yeah. I keep calling Sono. What's wrong with me tonight? So you got that match next week, and oh my God, that is going to be one of the physical matches we got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Oh my God, I want to see them freaking walk around like with Strong and Gunther literally freaking bruised everywhere. That is going to be an awesome match. So what are your expectations for that match anyway, since we're talking about it? Because Imperium literally, it's going to end up setting up a 3-way match anyways before Stand and Deliver in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean
these 6 people.
We know how it goes. It's gonna happen.
And it's just gonna be fun to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. First male I will talk about today that I did not see this coming at all because I don't really pay attention to him that much. But Fabian Eichner.
Mm-hmm.
That is one attractive Italian man right there. I have to tell you. Sick in the right places. But anyway, the point is that come on, I got to do it to you. Yeah, so I am very much looking forward to Solo Sikoa and Gunther. I might have done that actually pretty well for the first time ever, and I'll never do it again. That'll be very good because I enjoy Gunther. Okay, I'll do it again. And I enjoyed Solo Sikoa's little thing with someone whose name I'm not remembering. The guy who took over that gimmick with the face paint and whatever.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm completely expecting this to be a great match because the two involved are very great wrestlers.
Yeah, and it's just going to be one of those matches where that has to be the main event. Like, that has to be the main event.
If it's next week, I'm pretty sure that the The main event
what
players of this week are going to be the main event.
Yeah, that's how it usually is. But if it wasn't any other thing, that would be like for me. That's the match next week that when they do that, it's gonna steal the show. Like everybody is gonna pay attention to it. Excuse me. Like it's a long day. Um, but I that when they go at it, oh my god, people are gonna talk about it. If Sokoa and Gunther have like the barn burner like he had with Dragovich, because it could shape up to be that way. It's a possibility for me at least to see that how physical that first match with Dragovich and Walter was. It could be almost that one just for this version of Walter.
Yeah.
Gosh. And then we got our first debut, Nikita Lyons of all people, who all these vignettes were going up to her were very interesting. Talking about the musical aspect of it, about fighting and how she's trained in martial arts and stuff like that. Have you caught some of these vignettes with her to set her debut up, and what did you think of them originally?
Yeah, I didn't see all of them. I know I've seen at least one or two. I know that it got the classic internet treatment of, oh, she's doing X, Y, Z, and I don't like that, so this is going to be immediately trash. Like the Wendy Chu thing was, like the, other things I can't even think of, but you know what I'm talking about. Like,
The Wendy Chu one made me smile. Like literally, just like Dakota's walking around looking for her.
Oh no, I like that. I'm just saying, like, it's like when something before you really see it happen, people are already going, "Oh, this is going to be terrible." So it kind of like gives you this preconceived notion, and it's not great to go into something like that because you really want to focus on it for yourself and you want to have your own opinion instead of listening to what other people are thinking. There was that other character too that everybody thought was like the Sailor Moon thing. I'm forgetting her name now, and I really enjoyed that last week with her presentation. But you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, like they are trashing that, and then I see it last week, and I was a big fan. Actually, I thought it was really great. I thought the presentation was great. I thought her finisher was, it was a killer finisher. I loved it. So I would say the same for Nikita Lyons because, she didn't come to the ring rapping. She didn't. To be honest with you, I thought she was light years better than that stupid Daddy's Girl character that they're doing right now.
Oh, you mean Tiffany?
Yeah. Ugh. Don't give a crap about that at all. That's terrible. I will happily pick this over that. Happily. And I thought that she had a really good debut. I do. I think that she showed some good stuff, and the crowd was behind her, so that was a good thing. And also, her finisher was interesting. You can, NXT they likes to be about bodies and sex, but her finisher is different. She's doing the splits on somebody and pinning them. And hey, it works. It's not, it's not for me. It's not for me. You know what I mean?
I'll say this much, but the match for me was okay. It was, she was giving her opponent a good amount of work and stuff like that just to set that up. But I mean, for a debut match, I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
I was for the moveset and everything else. Is there more to grow on it? Yes. I see that eventually her possibly getting into the main event slot at some point and probably in the next 6-7 months because they're going to need somebody against Mandy. So I mean, I think Nikita Lyons could get up to that point probably quick. But I want to see more of what WWE has in store for her. I'm hoping that if she gets to where I say I could see it, but I don't want anybody to criticize and say, hey, you put this person too high on a pedestal compared to on their debut compared to this. I mean, you also got to remember a lot of people who debut in NXT, some of them have a lot of hype around them and stuff. And these vignettes were really good, really well produced. So it had me interested to see her first match. And now that she's now in NXT, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. It all depends on who they put in front of her to make it succeed. Now, a serious contender for her, since we're talking about her and her debut and stuff, I could see her and Raquel Gonzalez go at it and have a barn burner of a match. I could see her and like Kaylee Ray kind of thing. I think Nikita Lyons adapts to styles, and that's interesting.
One person that came to mind immediately was Dakota Kai. I think they'd have a really great match.
That would be interesting, especially with the martial arts background she has and everything. I would literally be excited to see a match like that. I think like if she does a War Games, that could set up a lot of stuff because we do have a War Games coming up at the end of the year. We already know that much. But if they had a mid-card title right now or right off the bat, I think she would get that. Like the IC title is for the main roster. If NXT had a women's IC title version of it, I think she would get it and then get a shot at whoever's the NXT champion. Yeah. But eventually what will end up happening is that they'll put the title on her and she'll succeed.
I think
all the tools are there, though. It's just all the tools are there. It's just how NXT and WWE will perceive it and see how it goes from there. So
that's where you get into some 50-50 territory because got to leave it up to Vince. And
I honestly think with her, I think it's going to be different because I think what they'll do is they'll do what they did with Braun, basically, if that makes any sense. They'll put, some opponents to build it up, kind of like, people who are in development in NXT that are getting TV time because they're improving. But I think for her, putting these people in front of her will build her up, and then they give her a big opponent like Dakota, because a lot of people, including me, think Dakota's the measuring stick in NXT for the women's division. And that's not anything. I mean, Natty does that, and Natty's very successful. So I think Dakota is in that position, but I think Dakota is also due for a women's title match where she actually wins the title. So I think if Nikita Lyons beats Dakota before Dakota decides to go, how they like doing that, bringing somebody who loses into the title picture, and Dakota finally wins the title, that gives Nikita Lyons the credibility to go after the NXT title because she said, I beat Dakota. We're fantasy booking here, but still, it's NXT.
Yeah. I mean, I could easily
see that NXT,
happening.
Though.
I don't love it, but it's better than how it started, at least. The 2.0 version, at least.
And the franchise even said it. It's almost like they're going back to where they used to be, where they started at base with the original NXT and building up. Give credit to him. He was just here a second ago. He's an amazing dude. Holding that title very, very, very tightly for the Roundtable podcast, or if I may say. He is producing this show. So, while we have... Yeah, you can hear me, and I'm giving him credit. He's the prediction was Warfare champion, rightfully so. By the way,
he won that.
Yeah.
Oh,
he didn't win. He did well. Your match, you didn't accept his match. Remember?
What do you mean?
The challenge he laid out on Twitter, stating that he challenged you for the belt for the Roundtable Podcasting Warfare title belt. If he's listening, he can pop in if he wants and clarify this.
Well, I don't ever remember that.
Because I basically sent you the whole thing, and you're like, oh, he wants to my belt.
Oh, that's right. Well, I had a little thing going on at that time, so didn't really get to dive into that as much as I would have liked to. But maybe WrestleMania season, maybe something will come for that.
I mean, we do have a title belt over on our side that we have to crown for our champion. So,
I mean,
there'll be
just
a
put it
major,
on me already. Who cared about anybody else?
there'll be a major announcement coming to that. There's going to be some changes going on in the tournament. We'll get to that on Thursday, but I digress. It's just the ceiling with Nikita Lyons is high, and I want to be one of those people that jump on board first, but I want to also hold back, like with Braun, same thing. Just see how they progressed his development and see how they present her with each individual opponents the next few weeks.
It's a work in progress. It's that's the model of 2.0 right now. It's like, hey, we're gonna throw this person out there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, what do you think about that vignette in the back room with Duke Hudson and Indy Hartwell talking about their past and everything?
So that pass is legit? Did they like come in together, or
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So this is not like, so he may have been lying.
It seems like they were together, taking pictures. They could be friends, but they're just using that as an angle. Or
Okay.
I can't say. It's one of those things. It's a fine line. Just from there.
I believe it was the last NXT before it went to 2.0 was the Index wedding.
Yeah.
Right. That was a phenomenal segment. I loved that segment so much. So I love Dexter Lumis, and Indy Hartwell too. Like I like that pairing. I liked when it was Johnny and Candace, the whole
The way.
right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I liked that whole thing with Austin Theory too. I thought everybody played their roles in that really well. But since splitting from that, I'm not seeing much of Index lately. So I would like to see them more on TV. So hopefully this isn't leading to like a breakup angle and somebody turning heel. I don't want that. I want to see them more together because I really like that pairing. So Duke Hudson, hey, he's an attractive guy. Looks like he knows how to kiss. And we'll see what happens with this. I mean, obviously we're gonna see a match, probably at Stand and Deliver, and we'll see. I mean, I like I said, I don't want this to be the end of Index. So hopefully,
I think anything, it's going to be Indy and Persia splitting up, and Duke trying to manipulate the situation to his benefit. I honestly will say this. I think you put Dexter more on TV. What they're doing is keeping Dexter fresh and keeping him on people's screens. But I think he is well overdue for a title shot at the NXT title. Well overdue.
yeah, he hasn't held a title yet, right?
He hasn't held NXT titles at all. He's been in there for a while, but I think he's well overdue to have a title run. And whether it's the North American or the NXT Championship, I think him and Breaker would be amazing match. But it's well overdue for him to have a significant title shot at something like this. I mean, pretty much, how many times does Ciampa have gotten a shot? You've got other people getting shots and stuff.
Right.
Grimes has got
Ziggler now.
and there's Dexter just literally being vignettes in the back and just standing there and stuff, shaking his head and walking out. It's let the man wrestle and let it do what he needs to. It seems like it's amazing to see how much he was used during the black and gold era towards the tail end before 2.0, and now with 2.0 he's like very used sparingly for the most part.
Sorry, I was just reading some stupid thing that Cringe Wrestling Takes put up. It just like caught my eye when I refreshed Twitter. It's so stupid. People are so fucking dumb. Anyway, yeah. So I was listening to you. I think that yeah. Indy's partner. What's her name again?
Hartwell,
Not the
Persia.
Persia, right? I don't really know anything about her. I just know that she kind of came into the picture after the way. So they seem like a good tag team. They're in the bracket for next week. I feel like they were. I had thought that they were going to win before this segment. Seems like that's probably not going to happen now because of whatever reason. Maybe Dexter and Duke Hudson get involved on the outside, and that's a distraction. Another lovely WWE trope, and probably they'll end up losing the match now.
So speaking of the Dusty Cup, you had Toxic Attraction standing outside watching the women's tag matches. Why? Why have them there if they're not going to do anything?
Man. Yeah, so the Toxic Lounge, as they're calling it, which is really just like some open area outside in the, where the audience is, where the crowd is. Wow. What a lifeless, just sad promo segment that was, that starting one. Like, nobody gave a crap about that at all. There was no reaction to anybody talking. None. It was like, you know what it was like? It was like 2K crowd noise being played over them talking because it was so just dead for what. And I don't even remember what they said because it was so terrible. But I just know that these are your women's tag team champions and your women's NXT world champion, and they are getting less
No
than
reaction.
no reaction. Well, it's just negative reaction. It's and not negative and booing. Negative as in just
Nobody cared.
the zero. Just turn on the volume scale. Just turn it down below 0. That's how bad it is.
Like the only one noteworthy thing in that whole segment promo, Mandy was like, they just want to get in the tag divisions because they don't want to deal with me because I'm the greatest. It's just they don't have anybody for Mandy right now, and they're trying to figure out, okay, who do they put in front? They put Kaylee Ray in front of it, but it was one match. They put so many other people in front of her, like Raquel and stuff, one match, and then they had a triple threat with Cara Jade and Raquel Gonzalez. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to give a match with Kaylee Ray like you did 2 weeks ago, make it more than just one match. And they rushed that real quick where they could have just extended it a lot more further and have a bigger build and build it as Mandy thinks she's the greatest NXT women's champion against the champion of champions, Kaylee Ray, who is the longest women's champion in this company's history with the NXT UK title. Don't get on me about the whole
was her.
COVID gap. Okay. Don't get me on the COVID gap in between when NXT UK wasn't running. It still counts. If you hold a title, you hold a title. Simple as that. Look at Braun Strowman. He still has that green freaking Rumble title. So I mean,
he might have given that back. We don't know.
It's just that whole segment. It didn't move anything. It didn't move the needle, and that's why a lot of people probably changed.
Well, you see, what it was trying to accomplish is what I was saying before about what NXT is. It's like selling sex, basically. It's as Joel Pearl and the other Twitter sphere out on Fightful lands. He likes to call it. It's high school. It's high school. Everybody's going around just wanting to have sex, kissing, making out. The way that they shot the toxic lounge segment is, camera down, looking up, chests are out, legs. It's like you're trying to market for people who aren't even watching this fucking show. The young people aren't really watching this show, man. Why are you? I mean, okay. I mean, I'm not going to be like ageist here and say that old people don't like to, have a good time.
Thanks for reminding me about Sunday. Thank you.
It's just that, like, this isn't the objectifying, and no, I'm not a fan of that. It's first of all, it's not marketing to me because I'm gay. That's number one. Number two, we have other men that I like objectifying, but that's beside the point. The point is that we gotta just like focus, like, let's be more creative than, some woman's got her legs crossed in a low dress, and now, we have to do this special camera angle to film that. Because I don't know, except for Mandy Rose, I don't know the names of the other two women in Toxic Attraction. So whichever one was sitting in the middle, she was the one that had the high dress and the legs crossed, and then the other one had tight shirt.
G.D. Dolan.
And look, I mean, you could dress that way if you want to dress that way. I'm not disparaging anybody, but this is being kind of done on purpose. You can kind of tell this whole NXT thing is like Mandy and Idris Enofe, like that. I think it was Idris Enofe, right? The one that's like in love with him.
Yeah.
With her, and it's like, okay, well, we can see what's going on here. The make out with Duke Hudson and Persia.
Toronto, yeah.
All right.
It's they're trying to gear it up to some other type of people, some other type. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. You people, famous you people promos they do. Trying to get like certain demographics and stuff, and then get that casual fan who hasn't seen NXT for the first time to keep them sticking in it. It lo and behold, it's kind of hard for them to do so. Other than that, I know the Duke Hudson match, that was kind of like, that was okay. It could have been better, but it was literally like a short match for me. I just tuned out on it halfway through the beginning of the match because of the fact that they were just trying to push the storyline about revenge and all that. It's just, no. I wasn't into it. I was just like, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah, I don't even remember who he faced tonight.
But
he faced Dante Chen.
Yeah.
Another person I got my eye on. He's a nice looking guy. I like to be a list. Away from, the attractiveness, I do think that he's got some really great potential, and I'm sad that he didn't win this match, but I see why he didn't win this match, because they're trying to build up Duke Hudson for whatever they're doing with Index and Persia, so yeah.
Well, main event time. You got a backstage interview about, between Breaker and Thomas, and Ciampa's not really saying much. He's just lifting weights, and Breaker's just asking him questions.
Listen, I don't blame Ciampa at all, because if I'm doing something and I don't want to be bothered, get the hell away from me, man. If I'm working out or something, if I'm in the zone and I'm doing something, don't come up to me. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I'm totally in Ciampa's side with that.
Well, main event, Ziggler versus Ciampa lived up to the hype that it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
everybody thought this could have been a WrestleMania match. I thought they should have just left this go into Stand and Deliver, and then have. And I've been saying this: the NXT champion, if it's Breaker, if it's someone, go on to Mania. I'll ask you this because I've asked this to a few people. One, was this match up to your expectations the way it was set up? And two, I'll ask you this now, and then you can answer it later. do you really think in the next few years the NXT title will be on a Mania card at some point?
So the first question of did I think this match was set up right? Not really. I mean, I watched last week when Ziggler made his grand re-entrance into NXT and got a good reaction. Because I don't think it was planned. I don't think he wasn't announced as being there. So that's a positive check in the box. Santos Escobar wasn't even on the show tonight. The whole Phantasma wasn't. So
El Gato del Fantasma.
El Gato del Phantasma. So that was a little strange. Because he's like trying to go after the title too, and well, now it's just about Dolph and Ciampa, as we saw from that promo that you're just talking about, the interrupting working out promo, where Ciampa said that, hey, we're 1-1, and I got to see who the better man is. So there's two of us. So obviously that's going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that leave Santos Escobar? I don't know. He kind of just got cast aside. So I'm not really a fan of how this was built. However, the match was fantastic tonight.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in seeing how the match with Ziggler and Braun Breaker will go whenever they do that, probably at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, and the thing is that NXT this year, even though it's been a short year, we're going into March, has had a lot of great matches. So, I mean, between, this one, and then you had Strong and Walter before he turned around and grabbed the mic and said, "My name's Gunther." That match was an amazing match. I mean,
nobody really remembers it now, though. Unfortunately,
they remember what happened after rather than the match itself.
Right.
I mean, it's been so far really good matches in NXT at the beginning of 2022. So it's gonna be fun to see where they go from here. But this match, the super kick, Ziggler hits a zigzag and thinks it's over, 2 count.
Ziggler is so good at that stuff. And you're like I was saying earlier, this was like the Ziggler of old, because man, he does his matches, and I just got to be honest with you, I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention to him. I haven't paid attention to him on the main roster in quite some time, because it's just not entertaining what they've done with him for a while now. And I'm not even talking about just with Robert Roode. Like, even before that, it's just the "it should have been me" thing with Drew McIntyre and with Kofi, and it's like, it just isn't that fun. But this was like prime Dolph Ziggler. This was really great.
It almost seems like he wants to go into NXT almost on a permanent basis.
I hope he does.
Because, I mean, it would make sense, because it will give him more TV time, because he'd be between two brands, basically. So Ciampa's trying to hit the fairy tale ending a couple of times. The arm gives out, his arm's not doing it after it, getting it caught on a Famouser, I believe. I was watching this and I was just enthralled into it. But at the end, at the end, like, the cameraman turns out to be the formerly known as the Glorious One, Robert Roode, and interferes in the match, and Ziggler wins. So now we have a match going on after the beatdown, the tag team match next week, possibly with Breaker and Ciampa versus, I hate this name, the Dirty Dogs.
It should be a Z at the end. I don't understand why they have it as an F. Anytime I was writing reviews, anytime I would type it on Twitter, always putting a Z at the end. Just change it to a Z. It just makes sense.
It's going to be one of those matches where it's going to make Breaker looking like he's got to rally back for the most part. Ciampa holding his own. But the question is, who eats the pin in this match? and we'll find out next
Which
week
one?
too.
Oh, next week's match.
Yeah,
Probably Dolph. Not Dolph. Bobby Roode. Yeah.
Well, this is pretty much how NXT was this week. And my headset just died. So
Shit. Well, I mean, you can still hear me though, right?
yeah, I can hear you. But the thing is that we're gonna wrap this up. And for me, I think the show was okay. You said it was a B minus. I think it was basically a B in itself. Ignore the move along troll behind me. Yeah. My girlfriend's son makes an appearance in the background. I overall think that the NXT show was really good. I think it became a step down from Vengeance Day, but Vengeance Day was like a takeover for them, but that's free takeover. I say it could have been a little bit better. Some parts of it was great and others weren't, but that was NXT this week. So we're gonna wrap it up. Hey, producer, if you're still there, why don't you pop up and tell them where they can find you if he's still listening. But why don't we end this up at first? And Drew, my friend, tell them where they can find you first.
All right. Well, you can find me at Big Money Drew on Twitter. Only follow me if you're a nice person. I don't want any toxic bullshit. I don't want any of that stuff. Leave that away from me. Thank you very much. And I am also on Fightful Overbooked every Saturday with Joel Pearl, youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Hits and misses, where we do our top 5 hits and top 5 misses of the week in all of wrestling, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, Rampage, Dynamite, Impact, sometimes when Impact decides to record for me. And, if there's another show at GCW or, whatever else, a pay-per-view, that's a great show. We do that list, and then our favorite wrestler of the week. Fun time. And thank you very much for having me on Body Slam tonight.
It's always great to have friends on and stuff like that. We got an awesome producer too in the franchise, Bad Blood, also in the background helping out. Other than that, every Tuesday night here, check out bodyslams.net's YouTube page. You'll find us here doing the NXT review show every week. Try to be more livelier and remembering a lot of stuff. Like I said, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Other than that, Thursday night, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls every Thursday night. youtube.com/throwback27, and on the Twitch is twitch.tv throwback978. You'll see that guy over there on sometimes, and you might see some of his former show appearances where he calls himself the head of the table. So other than that,
what a sorry sack of shit that guy is, man.
Oh, great. Other than that, hit me up on here or on YouTube, on Twitter, and Throwback978 says right there. Other than that, we're just having fun, enjoying this. Donate to bodyslam.net, do a slam chat. Slam chat says right there on the bottom, and just do a good deed, pay it forward. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.